The hiring office on station Kepler 442 buzzed with the usual chaos of interspecies commerce. Adnan wiped his palms on his work coveralls, trying to calm his nerves as he reviewed the applications for his cargo transport business. 3 years since the trade wars had ended, and human enterprises were finally allowed to hire alien crew members. He needed someone reliable, someone who understood both human and Zephyrian shipping protocols. The door chimed and she walked in. Nehal stood nearly 7 feet tall, her crystalline blue skin catching the artificial sunlight streaming through the station's viewports. The traditional Zephyrian mourning bands around her wrists told Adnan everything he needed to know about her recent loss. Her husband had likely died in the trade wars, leaving her to navigate a hostile galaxy alone. "You are Adnan Chen?" Her voice carried the melodic undertones characteristic of her species, but there was steel beneath it. "That's right. You're here about the Navigator position?" She nodded, her large violet eyes meeting his directly. "I have 15 years' experience with deep space navigation. I know 17 human trade routes and 23 Zephyrian ones. I can work with any species technology." Adnan glanced at her credentials on his datapad. Impressive didn't begin to cover it. She'd graduated top of her class from the Zephyrian Naval Academy, served as first navigator on 3 different vessels, and had commendations from human, Zephyrian, and even Karathi commanders. "Why do you want to work for a small human operation? You could get a position with any of the major shipping lines." Nehal's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. "The major lines ask too many questions about my past. You need a navigator. I need work. It's simple." That was 6 months ago. Now, as Adnan watched Nehal calculate their jump coordinates to the Andromeda mining colony, he realized how completely wrong his assumptions had been. She wasn't just competent, she was brilliant. Where human navigators relied heavily on AI assistance, Nehal could plot courses through unstable wormholes using nothing but stellar charts and intuition. She'd save them from 3 pirate ambushes by calculating escape routes that shouldn't have been possible. More than that, she'd become his partner in every sense that mattered for their business. "Jump in 30 seconds, Nehal announced from the navigation station. "Andromeda colony beacon is strong. Should be a smooth transition." "Copy that." Adnan settled into his captain's chair, watching her work. Somewhere along the way, the professional respect had become something deeper. He'd caught himself looking forward to their conversations during long jumps, appreciating the way she laughed at his terrible jokes, admiring how she never let anyone, human or alien, intimidate her. The ship shuddered as they dropped out of hyperspace. Andromeda colony sprawled before them, a massive industrial complex carved into an asteroid. But something was wrong. The usual traffic patterns were chaotic, ships fleeing in every direction. "Adnan," Nehal's voice was tight with concern. "I'm reading massive energy signatures. That's a Karathi battlecruiser." The view screen filled with the menacing silhouette of humanity's oldest enemy. The Karathi had been neutral during the trade wars, but tensions had been rising for months. Now it seemed they'd decided to test human resolve by attacking one of the furthest mining colonies. "They're jamming communications," Nehal reported. "The colony can't call for help and the defense platforms are offline." Adnan stared at the scene unfolding before them. Hundreds of human civilians were trapped on that colony. The nearest human patrol was 3 days away. In 3 days, there might be nothing left to patrol. "We have to help them," he said quietly. Nehal turned to face him, her violet eyes reflecting the lights from her console. "We have a cargo transport, Adnan. That's a battlecruiser with enough firepower to crack a moon." "I know what we have." He stood up, moving to stand beside her at the navigation station. "But we also have something they don't expect." "What's that?" "A Zephyrian navigator who's too stubborn to back down from a fight, and a human captain who's stupid enough to follow her lead." For the first time since he'd known her, Nehal smiled, really smiled, not the polite expression she wore for clients. "You want me to fly us directly at a Karathi battlecruiser? I want you to do what you do best. Find us a path that shouldn't exist." Nehal's fingers danced across her controls, pulling up stellar charts, asteroid trajectories, and gravitational field maps. "The mining operation has destabilized several asteroids in the outer ring. If we time it right, use the debris field for cover. Can you do it?" She looked at him with those impossible violet eyes. "Human navigation computers say there's a 0.03% chance of success. And what do you say?" I say human computers lack imagination. Her hands moved with practiced precision, plotting a course that defied logic. Strap in, Captain. We're about to show the Karathi why humans and Zephyrians make such a dangerous combination. The next 30 minutes were a masterpiece of navigation and piloting. Nihal threaded their ship through a debris field that shifted by the second, using gravitational slings and micro-jumps that no human pilot would have attempted. They emerged directly behind the Karathi cruiser, close enough to dock. Now what? Nihal asked. Adnan was already suiting up. Now we remind everyone why humans are so hard to kill. What followed would become legend among the outer colonies. Two beings, one human, one Zephyrian, infiltrated a Karathi battlecruiser using nothing but salvaged mining equipment and sheer audacity. They disabled the ship's weapon systems, restored communications to the colony, and held off the Karathi crew long enough for human reinforcements to arrive. 6 months later, Adnan stood on the observation deck of their new ship, a proper exploration vessel, purchased with the reward money from Andromeda colony. Nihal approached, carrying 2 cups of coffee, a human habit she'd adopted. The Zephyrian Council wants to offer us a contract, she said, handing him a cup. Deep space exploration in the Magellanic Clouds. And I told them I'd discuss it with my partner. She paused, then added more quietly, my husband. Adnan nearly spilled his coffee. They'd grown closer over the past months, but she'd never spoken about the future in such terms. Nihal, She placed a finger gently against his lips. In Zephyrian culture, when two beings risk everything to save others, when they trust each other with their lives, they become bonded. It's not about species or biology, it's about spirit. He took her hand in both of his. And in human culture, when someone makes you want to be better than you ever thought possible, when they stand with you against impossible odds, you call it love. As their ship prepared for its next journey, Adnan reflected on how wrong his first assumptions had been. He hadn't hired just a navigator. He'd found a partner who would help him bridge the gap between stars, between species, between the dreams of what humanity could become and the reality of what they were building together. In the vast darkness of space, two beings from different worlds had created something entirely new. A future where love knew no boundaries, and courage came in forms the galaxy had never imagined.